You've got water, food, and a flashlight. But if you're missing these 11 survival items, you might not make it past day 3 when disaster hits. And no, they're not what you'd expect. Hey everyone, I dove deep into prepper communities, interviewed seasoned survivalists, and even checked FEMA's emergency guidelines to find out what everyday people are forgetting in their go bags. What I uncovered was shocking. Simple, overlooked supplies that could mean the difference between surviving or not. In this video, I'm showing you all 11 survival essentials most preppers miss, including one that can literally save your life during an evacuation or blackout. Whether you're prepping for inflation, food shortages, or just want real peace of mind, this list will change how you prepare. So if you've ever wondered why some people thrive in disasters while others panic, stick around. This is the survival checklist you didn't know you were missing. Number 11. Manual can opener. You've got rows of canned beans, tuna, soup, and maybe even some fancy chili stacked up in your pantry. You feel good about it too, like you're ready for anything. But here's the hard truth. If you don't have a manual can opener, all those cans might as well be bricks. Seriously, without one, you're not eating. That's not dinner in your cupboard. That's a collection of expensive paperweights. It sounds obvious, right? Like, of course you need a can opener. But you'd be surprised how many people skip this step. Maybe they think they'll just use an electric one, or worse, they assume there will always be power. But when the grid goes down, whether it's from a storm, blackout, or something bigger, you won't get a second chance to fix that mistake. So why are we starting with this? Because it's the perfect example of something simple that gets overlooked until it's too late. And trust me, you do not want to be stuck trying to smash open a can with a rock while your family stares at you hungry and unimpressed. Now, here's the kicker. Not all can openers are created equal. Yes, you heard that right. Some leave jagged edges that could slice your finger clean off. Others break after 2 uses because they were clearly built for display only. So what should you look for? First, go for a sturdy, old-school hand crank model. The kind your grandparents probably used. They're reliable, easy to use, and last forever if stored properly. Avoid flimsy travel versions unless you plan on opening one can and then giving up on life. Also, look for ones that leave a smooth edge. Your fingers and pride will thank you. Number 10. Cooking oil. When most people think about emergency supplies, they picture canned food, bottled water, maybe even a flashlight or two. But here's something most preppers forget. Cooking oil. And no, it's not just for frying up whatever you can scavenge after the world ends. It actually does way more than you might realize. Let's start with the obvious. Yes, you can cook with it. If you've got a camping stove, a fire pit, or even a portable grill, oil becomes your best friend. You can saute vegetables, fry canned meat to make it taste less like despair, or even make a semi-edible omelet if you're feeling fancy. But here's the thing, not all oils are created equal when it comes to storage and use in survival situations. You want something with a long shelf life and high smoke point. That means skip the olive oil. It goes bad faster and isn't great for high heat cooking. Instead, look into things like coconut oil, sunflower oil, or good old vegetable shortening. These can last for years if stored properly, and they're versatile enough to handle just about any cooking need you'll have. But wait, there's more. Oil isn't just for making your meals tastier, it can also be used to start a fire. Yep, that's right. A few drops on some dry leaves or cotton balls, and you've got yourself a quick fire starter. In cold weather, that could literally save your life. Plus, if you're trying to stay low-key during sketchy times, oil burns quietly and doesn't produce much smoke. Perfect for staying off the radar. And get this, oil can even double as a preservation tool. Rub a thin layer on cast iron pans or metal tools to keep them from rusting. It creates a protective barrier that keeps moisture out. So not only are you keeping your food supply running, but you're also protecting your gear at the same time. That's what I call multitasking. Oh, and if you're into the nostalgic vibe, remember those old-timey lanterns? And some of them actually ran on oil. So if you ever find one tucked away in a garage sale treasure box, having a bottle of lamp oil or even clean vegetable oil on hand could give you light when everything else is dark. Number 9, sewing kit and safety pins. When you're prepping for the worst, your mind probably jumps to food, water, and maybe a flashlight or two. But here's something most people forget. A simple sewing kit and a handful of safety pins. Sounds odd, right? Like, why would you need thread and needles when society is falling apart? But trust me, this is one of those quiet little items that can save your life, your gear, or at least your dignity when things go sideways. Let's start with clothing. In an emergency, especially if you're on the move, your clothes are going to take a beating. A tear in your sleeve might not seem like a big deal now, but out in the wild with no backup outfit, that small rip could turn into a full-blown disaster. Cold wind sneaks in, dirt gets everywhere, and suddenly you're dealing with chafing, blisters, or worse, exposure. A basic sewing kit lets you patch up holes, reattach buttons, and reinforce weak seams before they give out completely, and honestly, it doesn't take much skill. You don't have to be a tailor, just enough to make a few quick stitches and keep your pants from splitting at the worst possible moment. And what about tents, backpacks, or tarps? Those get torn too. If your shelter rips open during a rainstorm, you'll wish you had a needle and some heavy-duty thread. Safety pins come in handy here too. Think temporary fixes for zippers, holding together flaps, or even securing a broken strap on your pack so you don't lose everything mid-evacuation. Now, let's talk about hygiene. Another area where a sewing kit can surprise you. Diaper changes, makeshift bandages, or even stitching up a cut in a true emergency. While we definitely don't recommend doing surgery in your living room by candlelight, having the tools gives you options when medical help isn't around. Number 8, spare reading glasses. If you wear glasses or reading aids, this one might hit a little close to home. You've got your emergency kit packed, your food stored, and your flashlight tested. But have you thought about what happens if your glasses break, get lost, or just stop working? Most preppers don't. And that's a big mistake because when the lights go out and the world goes sideways, being able to see clearly becomes more than just a convenience. It becomes a survival skill. Whether you're reading medication labels, checking expiration dates on food, or trying to navigate a dark room with a loaded backpack, poor vision can slow you down, or worse, put you in danger. Now, if you wear contacts, you probably already know how risky they can be in an emergency. Without clean water or proper hygiene, wearing contacts during a disaster is asking for an eye infection. So many contact wearers switch to glasses in crisis situations. But here's the catch. If your only pair gets smashed during an evacuation or falls into a river while crossing a bridge, you're suddenly navigating life with one hand tied behind your back. That's why having at least one spare pair of glasses, preferably two, is a must. And we're not talking about the cheap $10 readers from the gas station, though those can help in a pinch. We're talking about actual, properly fitted glasses that match your prescription. Store them in a sturdy case, keep one in your go bag, and hide another somewhere safe at home. And let's not forget about age. As we get older, our eyesight changes. Most people over 40 start needing reading glasses for small print, which means if you don't have them handy, you could struggle to read critical information. Imagine trying to follow emergency instructions, map directions, or even set up your camping stove without being able to see clearly. It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Here's a pro tip. If you wear progressive lenses or bifocals, consider keeping a backup pair of single vision glasses. They're simpler, easier to use in high-stress situations, and less likely to cause balance issues when you're moving fast. Also, think about storage. Don't just toss your spare glasses into a drawer, protect them. Use a hard case, wrap them in cloth, and keep them away from heat and moisture. And if you use clip-on reading lenses, those are great too. Super compact and easy to pack. So whether you're a foodie trying to read nutrition labels, a budget-conscious prepper stretching your supplies, or someone who loves the nostalgia of old-school gear, don't overlook this simple but vital item. Because in a world where clarity can mean safety, seeing clearly isn't just helpful, it's essential. Number 7, cash. Yes, really. When was the last time you actually carried cash? Think about it. These days, we tap our phones, swipe cards, or use apps to pay for everything. Coffee, groceries, even parking meters. It's fast, it's easy, and honestly, it feels futuristic. But what happens when that system goes down? That's right. Your fancy digital wallet becomes a useless piece of plastic or a dead screen. And if you don't have any physical money on hand, you could be stuck with zero options when things go wrong. Most preppers focus on food, water, tools, maybe even medicine. But cash? Surprisingly, it's often forgotten. And that's a big mistake, because in a real emergency, whether it's a blackout, a cyber attack, or just a natural disaster that knocks out cell towers, banks close, ATMs stop working, and credit card machines go dark. Suddenly, the only thing keeping you from getting supplies, fuel, or safe shelter is a few pieces of paper you didn't think to pack. Now, I know what you're thinking, but isn't cash heavy? Isn't it risky to carry around? The truth is, it's not about carrying thousands, it's about having enough small bills stashed away so you can still function when everything else fails. Think 1, 5 sawa, and $10. Lightweight, compact, and incredibly useful. You can use them to buy food from local vendors who don't take cards, trade with neighbors, or even bribe your way past a sketchy roadblock if things get serious. In some cases, cash might be the only thing people trust when the world feels unstable. And here's something most people don't consider. Old cash doesn't expire. As long as the bills are intact, they'll still hold value. So yes, that wrinkled $5 bill you found in your winter coat, still good. That stack of ones from years ago, yep, still legal tender. So how much should you keep? A general rule of thumb is to have at least $100, $200 in small denominations per person stored in different places. Your go bag, your car, a hidden home stash spot. If you're budget conscious, and let's face it, most preppers are, this is an easy, affordable way to add real security to your plan. Number 6, lighter fluid or fire starters. You've probably got a lighter tucked away in your pocket or emergency bag, maybe even a few, but here's something most preppers forget. Lighters run out, they clog, they break. And when you're standing in the cold with soaked hands and zero backup, that tiny plastic tool suddenly feels useless. That's where lighter fluid and fire starters come in. And no, we're not just talking about matches. We'll get to those later. These are the unsung heroes of survival firemaking, especially when conditions aren't ideal. Let's start with lighter fluid. It might not look like much, but this stuff is gold when you need to get a fire going fast. A few drops on dry tinder or cotton balls can turn even the shakiest fire attempt into a roaring success. It lights easily, burns long enough to catch kindling, and works great with charcoal or wood if you're cooking over an open flame. But don't just throw a random bottle in your kit and call it good. Store it properly. Use a sealed, leak-proof container and keep it away from heat sources. Also, label it clearly. The last thing you want is to mistake it for something else in a high-stress moment. Now, if you're looking for something a little more compact and modern, there are tons of commercial fire starters designed specifically for survival use. Some are wax-based, others are chemical tablets, and some even glow red-hot with just a spark. These are perfect for wet weather, high winds, or when you're trying to stay quiet and avoid attention. And here's a nostalgic tip. Remember birthday candles? Those little stubs of wax and wick actually make excellent emergency fire starters. They're small, lightweight, and burn long enough to light bigger fuel sources. Plus, they bring back memories of simpler times, which might be exactly what you need during a stressful situation. But why does this matter so much? Because fire is everything in survival. It keeps you warm, cooks food, purifies water, and can even signal for help. Without it, you're exposed, literally and figuratively. So having multiple ways to start a fire isn't just smart, it's essential. Also, think beyond just lighting a campfire. If you're using a camping stove or a portable grill, lighter fluid can help get those going too. And if you're trying to sterilize tools or boil water quickly, having a strong, steady flame makes all the difference. So how many fire starting options should you have? At least 3. 1 primary, like a lighter, 1 secondary, like matches, and 1 backup, like fire starter sticks or lighter fluid. That way, no matter what happens, you'll always have a way to create that life-saving spark. Number 5, toothpaste tablets or baking soda. When you're building your emergency kit, your mind probably jumps to food, water, and tools that keep you safe and moving. But here's something most preppers forget. Basic hygiene supplies, especially for your mouth. Yeah, we're talking about dental care. And no, brushing with soap or dirt is not a solid long-term plan. Toothpaste tablets and baking soda might not seem like survival essentials, but they do way more than just keep your breath fresh. In a real emergency, keeping your mouth clean could mean the difference between staying healthy and dealing with a serious infection. Let's start with toothpaste tablets. These are compact, lightweight, and don't leak like traditional toothpaste tubes. They come in sealed bottles, last for years, and only need a little water and a brush to work. Plus, they're easy to toss into any emergency bag without taking up space or adding weight. And if you can't find tablets, baking soda is a powerful backup. It's abrasive enough to scrub away plaque, it fights bad breath, and it even helps balance mouth pH to prevent tooth decay. Just dip your toothbrush in a little bit of dry baking soda, add water, and brush like normal. It doesn't taste minty fresh, sure, but it gets the job done. But why does this matter so much during a disaster? Because when things go sideways, hygiene is often the first thing people neglect, until it bites them. Dental infections, swollen gums, and tooth pain can become serious health risks fast, especially if you don't have access to a dentist or antibiotics. A simple toothache can turn into a fever, which turns into weakness, which makes it harder to function when you need to be at your best. Also, brushing your teeth, yes, even in a crisis, does wonders for morale. It feels normal, it feels human. After days of eating canned food and drinking from questionable sources, having fresh breath and a clean mouth can actually boost your mood and help you stay focused. And here's another bonus. Baking soda isn't just for brushing. It doubles as a cleaning agent, deodorizer, and even an antacid in a pinch. Need to scrub your gear? Baking soda. Want to cut down on smells in your shelter? Baking soda. Trying to soothe an upset stomach? A tiny bit mixed with water might help, so how much should you stock up on? A small bottle of toothpaste tablets will last months. For baking soda, grab a few boxes and store them in airtight containers to keep moisture out. Both take up almost no space, making them perfect additions to any emergency stash. Number 4, duct tape, the original multi-tool. When you think of survival gear, your mind probably jumps to knives, flashlights, maybe even a portable water filter, but here's something most preppers forget. One of the most powerful tools you can carry isn't high-tech, doesn't need batteries, and costs less than a sandwich. We're talking about duct tape. Yes, that roll of gray or sometimes colorful sticky fabric might not look like much, but in a real emergency, it could save your life, or at least your sanity. Let's start with the basics. Duct tape is strong, flexible, and sticks to almost anything. It was originally designed for sealing ammunition cases during World War II, and somehow over the years, it became the go-to fix-all for everything from car repairs to fashion statements. And honestly, it earns every bit of that reputation. So what can you actually do with it in a survival situation? First off, gear repair. If your backpack strap rips, your tent tears, or your shoe sole starts peeling off, duct tape can patch it up fast. Wrap it around a broken handle, secure a loose zipper, or reinforce weak seams on your raincoat. It's not permanent, but in an emergency, temporary fixes are often good enough to keep moving. And what about shelter? If you're building or repairing a makeshift tarp shelter, duct tape helps hold things together when string or rope isn't enough. It can also seal gaps to keep wind and water out, which makes all the difference when temperatures drop. Here's another clever use: clothing repair. A tear in your pants while hiking through rough terrain? Wrap a strip of duct tape around the inside and outside of the rip. Not only does it stop the tear from getting worse, but it also adds strength to the fabric. Same goes for gloves, hats, or even boots. If it's coming apart, duct tape can glue it back together. Oh, and don't sleep on its usefulness for first aid. Yes, really. While we're not suggesting replacing medical supplies with tape, it can be used in a pinch to hold bandages in place, wrap a sprained ankle, or even create a makeshift splint when wrapped around cloth and sticks. And here's a nostalgic tip. Ever seen someone wrap their boots in duct tape before a long hike? That's called gaffling, and it's been around for decades. It helps prevent blisters, keeps socks from slipping, and gives worn-out shoes a second life. Number 3, extra batteries. When most people prep for emergencies, they think about food, water, and maybe a few tools to keep them safe and moving. But here's something most preppers forget: batteries. And not just any batteries, extra ones. Because when the power goes out, almost everything we rely on suddenly needs a battery to work. And if you don't have spares, you're going to be stuck in the dark, literally. Let's start with the obvious: flashlights. You've got one, right? Probably even 2, but how many spare batteries do you have for them? 1 set? 2? If you're like most people, it's not enough. In a real blackout that lasts days or weeks, you'll be using that flashlight more than you think. Checking your home, walking to get supplies, even navigating your own backyard at night. And once those batteries die, your flashlight becomes a useless stick. But it's not just about lights. Radios, GPS device, headlamps, portable fans, even small medical devices, all of these run on batteries. And in an emergency, staying informed and healthy could depend on having power when the grid doesn't. Now, here's the thing: batteries don't last forever. Even if they're sitting in a drawer untouched, they slowly lose charge over time. Some types also leak, especially alkaline batteries, which can ruin your gear if they sit too long. So just buying a pack just in case isn't enough. You need to plan for storage and rotation. Stick with quality brands. Store them in a cool, dry place and label them with purchase dates so you know when to replace them. A general rule is to rotate every 1 to 2 years for top performance. Yeah, it takes a little effort, but trust me. Better than trying to find fresh batteries after the shelves are empty. Also, don't forget about battery-powered radios. These are lifesavers during disasters because they keep you connected to the outside world. Weather alerts, emergency updates, and news about rescue efforts come straight through them. No Wi-Fi needed, just a signal and some juice. And speaking of nostalgia, do you remember the old hand crank radios? They're still around and they work great, but even those often have batteries inside to store power after you crank them. So either way, batteries are part of the deal. Here's another tip. Consider what else you can run on batteries that might make life easier. Small LED lanterns, portable phone chargers, even battery-powered mini fans or heaters can make a huge difference in comfort and safety. And comfort matters, especially when things feel stressful and uncertain. For budget-conscious preppers, this doesn't have to break the bank. Buy in bulk, look for sales, or stock up during off-season months when prices drop. You don't need to go full bunker mode, just enough to cover your essentials for a couple of weeks. Number 2, notepad and pencil. When you're building your emergency supplies list, things like food, water, and flashlights probably jump to the top. But here's something most preppers forget: a simple notepad and pencil. Yep, that's right. In a world full of smartphones and voice memos, writing things down on paper might feel outdated. But when the power goes out and your phone dies, that little notebook could be one of the most useful tools you own. Let's start with communication. During a disaster, digital devices can fail. Wi-Fi drops, batteries die, and signal towers go offline. That means no texting, no emails, no saved notes on your phone. So how do you leave messages for family members? How do you keep track of important phone numbers, locations, or escape routes? A notepad gives you a backup plan. Literally, even if you're alone, having a place to jot down thoughts, plans, or daily checklists helps keep your mind sharp and focused. Stress and chaos make it easy to forget small but important details. Did you already check the water supply? Did you take your meds today? What was the last time you heard from your neighbor? Writing these things down keeps you organized when everything else feels out of control. And what about documentation? If you need to keep records of expenses, repairs, or ration usage during an extended outage, a notepad is perfect. You can even use it to draw maps, sketch shelter ideas, or create diagrams for gear fixes. It's like having a personal log of everything you're doing, which might come in handy later. Here's another overlooked use. Bartering. In serious emergencies, traditional money might lose its value, but information, that's always valuable. A written list of contacts, survival tips, or even recipes could be traded for food, fuel, or protection. People will always want knowledge, and if you've got it written down, you've got leverage. Oh, and don't sleep on the pencil. Sure, pens work too, but pencils have one major advantage. They write even when wet, and they never run out of ink. Sharpen them with a knife if needed, and you're good to go indefinitely. Number 1, feminine hygiene products, including menstrual cups. When most people think about emergency supplies, they picture canned food, bottled water, maybe even a few tools and batteries. But here's something way too many preppers forget: feminine hygiene products. And no, this isn't just a women's issue. It's a basic human need that affects health, dignity, and survival, especially during long-term disasters. Let's be real. Periods don't stop just because the power went out or the grocery store is closed. In fact, stress, poor nutrition, and disrupted routines can make them more unpredictable. So if you or someone in your household menstruates, not having the right supplies can turn an already tough situation into a full-blown crisis. Most emergency kits skip this category completely, and when they don't, they usually only include pads or tampons, which is better than nothing, sure, but here's the problem. Those products take up space, require disposal, and can become a hygiene nightmare without proper waste management or clean water access. That's where menstrual cups come in. And trust me, they're a game changer for prepping. If you're not familiar, a menstrual cup is a small, flexible silicone or rubber cup that's inserted like a tampon, but collects rather than absorbs fluid. It can be worn for up to 12 hours, then emptied, rinsed, and reused. No need for constant changing, no bulky packaging, just one tiny item that lasts for years. Now, imagine being stuck in a shelter with no running water, limited supplies, and no way to get new tampons for weeks. Having a menstrual cup could mean the difference between staying healthy and dealing with infections or discomfort. Plus, it takes up almost no space in a go bag, which makes it perfect for preppers who want to travel light but stay prepared. And for our budget conscious folks, this is a one-time purchase. Once you have a cup, you're good for years. No more buying boxes of tampons every month. Just rinse and repeat, literally. But let's not forget about pads either. Even if you use a cup, having a few backup pads is smart, especially if you're evacuating and can't properly clean your cup on the move. Pads are also easier for younger teens or first-time users who aren't comfortable with insertion yet. Also, don't overlook the importance of clean underwear. Pack a few pairs of breathable cotton ones. They help prevent irritation and infections when hygiene is limited. Bonus points if they're dark colored so stains don't show as easily. Now, here's another angle most people miss: emotional well-being. Feeling clean, dry, and in control matters, especially when everything else feels chaotic. Being able to manage your cycle with dignity helps keep morale high, which is huge when you're trying to survive a stressful situation. And for our nostalgic viewers, remember how your mom or grandma used cloth pads back in the day? Well, reusable cloth pads are making a comeback, and they work great in emergencies. Just wash, dry, and reuse. They're eco-friendly, budget-friendly, and totally practical if you're going long-term off-grid. So whether you choose tampons, pads, cups, or a mix of all three, make sure you've got enough stored away. Don't wait until it's too late, because in a real emergency, this isn't just about comfort. It's about health, safety, and staying ready for whatever comes next. All right, folks, there you have it. The 11 survival items most preppers forget. Some of them were probably surprises, right? Did you miss any of these? Have you ever been caught off guard during a blackout or emergency because something small like a can opener or cash wasn't in your kit? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your stories and what you consider a must-have for survival. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. And if you're new here, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video like this. Next week, we're diving into the ultimate no-cook survival meal plan. No stove, no fire, no problem. So stay tuned for that. Stay safe, stay smart, and remember, the best time to prep was yesterday. The second best time, right now.